Hey everyone, Jason Shepard here of MzeroA.com alongside Russ, Wayne, and Matt, recapping the true cross-country flight from Florida to the AOPA Livermore fly-in and back. And I wanted to really kind of give you a recap of everything. Matt and Russ kicked off the first leg, but honestly, it was a day late, almost.
Half day late, yeah.
A half day late from when you guys wanted to actually depart, and you didn't ever intend to plan for the first leg of Destin either, did you?
Yeah, so right here, we kind of ran into an interesting situation. We were looking at the NextRad weather on the Dynon, and it was looking really, really red and didn't look really good at all. Initially, ATC had given us some vectors around the weather, and you know, you kind of have to use all your available resources in the cockpit. And one of those is actually just looking outside. So the main thing we did was we actually looked outside, and there were two huge cells, and you can actually see directly through them. And they were pretty far apart, no lightning, just some light rain. And we could actually see Destin out in front of us.
So you got a good picture of it too.
Yeah. And so we actually just asked ATC just for vectors to go around it. And so, like Matt said, the NextRad was just looking horrible, but outside looked fine.
Well, why a day late, and why Destin? Originally, we were planning going to Panama City and everything else, man.
So weather in Ocala the day that we were supposed to leave was our main issue.
You were up early. I remember you were out there like 7 o'clock, ready to go, and you didn't leave till
probably 2 or something like that.
Wow.
And the other thing was just you know, we knew we were going to be landing later in the day. We didn't want to drag the whole day out longer, so we knew just airport position, you know, Destin was far closer to the hotels and stuff like that, and we knew it would just be a quick hop over to the hotel. So that's why we chose that instead.
Super cool. So an overnight in Destin, and then Russ woke up full of energy and decided to do his best Jason Shepard impression. Let's watch that clip real quick.
Hey everyone, Jason Shepard here with MzeroA.com. Today we're going to take off from a Class Delta airport. Matt and I, my co-pilot here, or actually he's the pilot, I'm the co-pilot, I'm sorry. We're going to take off today, and we're just going to fly out, and we're just going to head west. We're heading to the AOPA fly-in, so please come and join us. We're going to have such a great time. See ya. Have a good night, guys. Bye. Messed the end up.
That was so bad.
It was.
That was actually pretty close, pretty good Jason Shepard
I don't
impression.
think it was close at all. No.
You gotta get the snap now. You forgot the snap. That's very important.
I messed up the end, and then I got maybe if I stopped moving my head so much when I talk.
But despite that, you got your payback, leaving Destin to Hammond, super bumpy. And let's see how much he really likes turbulence now.
Oh yeah.
Scared me. That scares me. Sporty. Scary.
Shark 1, sorry about that. We did not hear you call him.
And I'm
So
scared.
we ran into a little issue leaving there, a small mechanical issue, which delayed us a little bit. So our original plan was to fly into New Orleans for the evening and spend the night there. But we ended up leaving again, probably like 2 o'clock or so. So we ended up just going to Hammond and then continuing on from there. But yeah, we ended up having
turbulence
and more weather that we had to deal with. We were really dealing with weather until we crossed the Mississippi. So, so that's why it was so bumpy. But yeah.
Overnight in Hammond then?
No, we continued on to
Chenault.
Chenault. Yep.
Okay, so we'll continue on now. Let's see that to Chenault again. Just that was an overnight though in Chenault.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so you continue on pretty straightforward flight there. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing to report.
Yeah.
Nothing to report. That's how it should be. Although we've had something to report each leg, it seems like. So we left Chenault into San Marcos. San Marcos, you did have an overnight. And actually, you guys were texting me a bunch of cool photos of the FBO there and everything else. Looked really. I actually have never been before.
Yeah, it's a very cool, very modern FBO.
Super cool. So overnight in San Marcos, continued on from San Marcos to San Angelo.
Coming into there were some major storms over the Dallas-Fort Worth area earlier in the day. At some flight schools in that area, they had planes that were flipped over on the ramp and everything like that. So when we got in there, it was perfectly clear there. But right after we landed, it got super windy to the point where we made sure the plane was like tied down immediately because it was that windy.
Remember ATP, those guys were there. They weren't able to leave.
Yeah, they actually had their flight school told them they're not allowed to leave, so they actually booked them a hotel and they had to stay there overnight. So
Wow. So next, Russ's idea to go to Roswell.
Oh yeah.
You wanted to see the aliens.
I want to see my family.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, Roswell looks super cool. So nothing uneventful.
We did do an approach there. The ceilings were, probably 1,000 feet, so we were out by the final approach fix. But landing, we had quite a cool surprise.
Yeah, that looked. You'll see the boneyard here and everything else looks super. Matt, I noticed you're doing all the flying too. I haven't seen Russ. He's just sitting in the right seat the entire time. I think he's on his phone right now, doing something. That doesn't look like a taxiway diagram. So.
Well, I was looking for snacks, but.
But the boneyard, super cool stuff.
Yeah, it's American Airlines boneyard there. So it's planes after planes after planes. It just continued on forever.
Wow, very, very cool. And something else I think you guys did very smart was it was 2 days in Roswell. So a day of doing the touristy.
Yeah, because we were already late, and so we were pushing, just trying to see how far we can get, and then finally when we got here, we were just tired, we were exhausted.
Yeah.
And we felt like we were finally caught up too.
Yeah.
So just take a break and just have a day without flying, relax, and recharge.
Yep.
Yeah, no, very, very smart and very, very cool footage. So
we got to see some interesting ladies going to the Roswell Museum with foil on their head.
tinfoil hats, yeah, I can imagine. You have those pictures you want to share too? Is that are we allowed to do that?
Probably not.
All right, so leaving Roswell to Deming. Now, Deming is Arizona, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, starting to really deal with some mountains now. You didn't have them before,
hadn't
but
done that at all until there. But it was a pretty uneventful flight. Pretty busy in that area, and that's why we had that hard turn there.
yeah.
But other than that, a pretty uneventful flight.
And then into just 2 legs that day. So calling it an overnight into Phoenix, Goodyear. Why stop here? And
So a bunch of our remote staff that helps with support works out at this airport. So we wanted to go hang out with them and see where they work and what they do out there. So
very, very neat. Another overnight then.
Yes.
So you called it a night, and on takeoff, you had an interesting takeoff.
It's
Russ?
something in the pitot tube, and so we actually talked to the maintenance facility there. They actually helped me out. They let me borrow their compressed air and a few things to get the pitot tube off. And so I blew compressed air to get it out and put it back on, and it was interesting because we took off a few times.
Well, even before that, I remember, Matt, you called me and I said, you said, you're not getting airspeed. I said, Matt, it's just density altitude. You're out there. It's going to take some time to show indicated airspeed. You asked a few others. Hunter, I believe, one of our remote support team members, said the same thing. So you went out, tried it again. You got up to what, 20? And then fell back to 0?
Yep. And that was after takeoff.
So this is twice you tried to take off.
Yes. Yep.
Right. Wow. Gotcha.
So it's just one of those things where if you feel something's not right, run with it.
Yeah. Again, I'm trying to give advice from 2,000 miles away. It's just density altitude. Don't worry about it. That happens. And it does happen. However, not as you experience it for sure. It's definitely something in there. And how cool is it, the aviation community just helping fellow pilots out? Yeah, use our compressed air. And the benefits of flying with a mechanic too helps a lot in those situations when anything maintenance-wise like that comes up. So leaving Goodyear, now we're dealing with some density altitude, I imagine. Grab fuel. However, it's 1 p.m. now, right? In the afternoon.
It's crazy hot.
Yeah.
It was hot. Another thing is, we're from Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know the Palm Springs area. I don't know California. And little did we know it was in a valley.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of see it on the chart, but it doesn't do it justice. So that was a huge factor as well.
It's in a valley at 400 something feet, and the mountains are at 8,000 feet. So you'll see this little circling takeoff you guys make up and out of there was very much necessary. But of course, the turbulence and the now getting some ridge lift and ridge descents and everything else, this extreme little drop right here, as soon as you hit this ridge there, you mentioned, and Russ, you have some pictures of it too.
Yes.
As well, kind of hanging by the prop, I think you called it.
Oh, yes. And we were still descending, and I wasn't happy. I'm between Palm Springs.
Not happy too, looking at mountains.
Between Palm Springs and there, I told Matt, I said, if I could get out and walk right now, I said, I'd be happy with that. I said, I don't want to do this right here.
Yes.
One other thing that I learned, we always talk about, the power of unable. One thing we went through, I bet we sat for 45 minutes after the initial flight planning phase, just refining our route and making it perfect where we can sneak through all these MEAs and all this stuff and have a perfect flight at 9,000 feet.
Right.
Well, of course, all that went out the window when we submitted the flight plan.
Right.
And they sent us and they had us up to 12,000 feet.
Mhm.
There's no way the 172 is going to 12,000 feet, really even 11,000. So, we're trying, gave it our best shot, said literally just unable. And okay. And it was that easy.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no questions. It was just done. And
Yeah.
it shows the power of using that word and not, trying to push things.
A little delayed leaving Goodyear, which puts you at Palm Springs a little bit later.
Mhm.
So density altitude issues. Land in Bakersfield, grab fuel. There is no overnight. You're continuing on,
Yeah.
Correct.
hoping to get to Livermore. However, as we'll learn, it's
One of the interesting things too, Matt, remember how we had to also climb out when we were leaving Palm Springs, is we had to climb, accelerate, climb.
step
remember
climb,
that?
step
Yeah.
climb.
That's something that I've never had to deal
It's
with.
not in Florida,
That's,
no.
no, not even Kentucky. I mean, that's something that we
Yeah.
just end up doing.
Absolutely.
It works well, but it's if you don't know that it's there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speed up to climb more. So we leave Bakersfield, we grab some fuel. We're heading up, hopefully, to Livermore. However, you shared kind of why you went into Hayward. It's now dark. It's IFR.
Mhm.
You just wanted to be at the airport with some more approaches, better approaches. And what's this zigzaggy thing right here trying to get into Hayward now?
So Hayward is right in the way of Oakland's airspace.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually had to halt all arrivals into Oakland so that we could do our approach into Hayward.
Mhm.
They were vectoring us left, 360, right 180, like 180 degree vectors around in circles. Mind you, we were right on top of the clouds, and you could only see the mountains popping out through them.
Yeah.
So
That
it was
makes you feel good.
pretty interesting. But the approach itself, it was pretty interesting. They finally cleared us, and he couldn't made it more clear to us that the minute I could cancel, please do.
Yeah.
So finally we're on our way in, but obviously we're being held up high to let the arrivals go through and everything like that. The issue was they had a huge descent in, so we had a little bit of a programming issue with the avionics, and we weren't able to use the autopilot on the arrival. So now, our last flight after flying across the country, now I'm flying a hand approach at night IMC.
Yeah.
New airport.
And it was in a new airport. And this was a different type of IMC. In Florida, we're used to rain, we're used to fog and mist and stuff like that. This was truly just, like sea layer of
stable stratus
yeah.
layer you read about, right?
And you're flying into a big city, so you have the lights that are
Wow.
shining up into the clouds. So it was almost like daylight in the clouds.
Wow.
But the minute you pop out, it was crystal clear, and the runway was right in front of us, and there was no haze or anything. It was very, very cool.
Yeah, because that even allowed you to see the mountains beside us, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, no.
There was a lot of things I didn't like about that.
It sounds like
Yeah.
it. It sounds like it. So you guys land, you get an Uber to the hotel. Meanwhile, this guy and I, we're on a Delta flight, just relaxing, not realizing all that unfolded. And we come out, and Wayne and I get to cross the finish line here and make the flight from Hayward into Livermore, albeit still an IFR flight. This is Wayne's. You may not realize this. This was Wayne's first time in actual. Wayne is
That was really cool.
yeah, brand new, just started working on his instrument and getting his first time in actual in California.
Yep.
So pretty exciting there. I was getting
We
pretty
broke out.
optimistic. Yeah, I was getting optimistic when I saw that. But what you don't realize, and you'll see on the FlightAware track, is how they just brought us back around so
right
much.
back into it.
Yeah, right back into it. But Wayne hand flew everything. I was just the talking pilot for that leg and had the approach played out. He seriously hand flew it all and showed him everything.
I wanted to use the autopilot.
He wanted to use the autopilot, but didn't let him for sure. So that was great. Landed back at Livermore. You can there's our FlightAware path there. You can kind of see. They brought us way
It
out.
was crazy how far out they took us to bring us back.
Yeah, way out. You can see that. Flew past Hayward again, and all Matt's loops, and then landed. And then one thing we always do as a tradition, whether it's Oshkosh, it doesn't matter. We always take time as a team to go do cool things. So Golden Gate Bridge, hanging out there, just see everything. That's the full house. That's pretty cool. I mean, you got to see that. Lombard Street. So we got to drive down that and we just do touristy things. Wayne is blaring the horn right now. That person is what you didn't see.
People everywhere.
Yeah, that's what you didn't see. We'd always talk. We couldn't imagine, like, what if you own these houses? There's people just like standing in your backyard all the time. But this is Lombard Street that you see coming down there. So I had a good time just being touristy and doing all that while we waited to set up for the Livermore fly-in. So just a super fun time. We're big into our team building and everything else. But
Except for when Wayne wanted to try to jump at one of them.
he did. Yeah, we did. All the hills. He was accelerating towards the hills to try to get the rental car airborne. So that was no wonder they don't let us rent cars anymore. After the flying was over, I did just one leg that day. So the flying was done. It was Livermore back to Bakersfield. It's interesting to see this, how much our routes really crossed. So landed at Bakersfield, had an overnight in Bakersfield, still landed with plenty of daylight. California Aeronautical University is one of our great partners that we work with and housed us, and the kids there are just super, all use our course and everything, so it was great to see them. Got up early in the morning and proceeded out to Bullhead City, something super cool. Every single stop we had, I posted, we had a fan come out to the FBO to meet us in Bullhead City. A gentleman came out all the way from Vegas, just drove down almost an hour to come out and see us. So the pre-flight out there wasn't much to the airport. It looks like a small kind of casino town. And this is getting ready now for the flight out to Sedona. So if you watched our Grand Canyon video, this is where we took off from, leaving from Bullhead City. This will be the shortened version of it, obviously, here. Taking off, you can see there's a little casino kind of river town. Boats everywhere, though. Very, very popular, but not a whole lot of infrastructure other than the casino town around it. Something interesting I want you to watch for when we cut, we'll show you on the way there. So you'll see the Grand Canyon here in a second. And I want you to watch this clip. It'll be the wing shot. So here we are. This clip right here. Look just under the Mike Zulu part and look at the mountains there. You see this shadow. And I didn't catch it until later. You guys saw it on YouTube. John saw it earlier, is why he included it in there. In that plane, what do we have, Matt? We have ADS-B from 3 different sources plus TCAS, active traffic. So we have all these sources. There was nothing. Not on the Avidyne, not on the Dynon, not on the iPad. There was nothing. And maybe I'm like speculating, but that looks like a B-1 bomber kind of. And out there, that's common. That could happen. So just super cool, but nothing on my radar other than the creepy B-1 looking shadow. So that was really neat though. Flying over the Grand Canyon, really easy process too. Called up Las Vegas, told them I want to operate in this corridor of the special flight rules area. And they were super cool, gave me a squawk code and just told me, hey, tell me when you're done. I had to keep it a little bit high through some of this. Just to clear it and be through the corridors, not deal with the helicopters and everything else. But this is now kind of leaving the Grand Canyon, heading down to Sedona, which I've been to probably a handful of times now. One of my favorite places. You can see the red rocks there. And Sedona is built up on a plateau, on a mesa. So it messes with your head when you're on downwind, and the city's 3,000 feet below you, but the airport's so built up from everything else. So it really messes with your eyes. Coming in, I believe we're on base. Yeah, we're on base turning final. You'll get a lot of really nasty ones. But see how it's built up? The city's down to the left, and the airport's built up at least 1,000 feet above the city to the right there. So now departing, just grabbed fuel in Sedona, took some great pictures. You know I have a habit of using every little bit of runway. So grab fuel. You saw in this video, this whole video is on YouTube as well. We lean the mixture, get a maximum performance takeoff. Did a nice short field takeoff, even though it's not truly a short field. I still wanted to use every little bit of runway. So there's a part out of there now heading up to Albuquerque. And this is when it's the same stuff, Matt and Russ, that you ran into. It's now the afternoon. This was still a little bit earlier in the day, but by the time I got to Albuquerque, it's starting to get windy. And I read the YouTube comments and Instagram comments. They said it's always windy in Albuquerque, which is quite possible. But it was bad because we were landing there around 2, 3 o'clock, and the winds were really starting to kick around Albuquerque. I actually made a great crosswind landing video for Instagram going in there, but you can see the departure out of there. Again, some more mountains, not done with the mountains yet, landing at Albuquerque. You notice too, we went to mostly, with the exception of Sedona, because we wanted to, mostly bigger airports from here. Albuquerque's a Class Charlie. Went to Midland, Texas, almost done with the mountains. Had an overnight in Midland. I love how our route crosses there. I think that's super cool to see that we were crossing the same parts of the country and everything else. Called it a night in Midland. Woke up super early on the way to Fort Worth Sphinx. This is actually the only time I needed the IFR flight plan. Every other time I was truly VFR. This is the only time I had to shoot in approach, and broke out within plenty of time. Again, that same nice Stratus stable layer. Stopped in Monroe, which was honestly one of the the best FBOs hospitality-wise I've ever stopped. I'm talking, they got snacks, they've got coffee. Like, it was just really just great, great people, great hospitality. Quick hop over to Panama City. Actually, this was actually one of our longer legs. This was right at that kind of, you can see it's 252 on that leg. Stopped there. By the time we landed there, it was almost sunset, and decided it's an hour-and-a-half flight home. Made it home. Actually went home VFR the entire way, so we didn't cut the coast too much, because oftentimes they'll cut you over. It's called Heaven Intersection, and it's like 20 miles off the coast. I'm not crazy. At night over the ocean. Mm-hmm. It just didn't seem like a good idea. So landed back safe at Ocala.
Yeah.
But learned a lot, as all of us did. First instrument lessons, first Jason Shepard impression. We all learned a lot of good things on our flight. But we can't wait to read your comments below this video on YouTube, on Facebook, and on MzeroA.com. Anything else you want to see, or any great video ideas you have, please don't hesitate to share them. So enjoy the rest of your day, and most importantly, remember
that a good pilot is always learning.
How'd you know I was going to count on you to do that? That was your makeup. That was good. That was better. See you guys. Take a 2-week free trial of our online ground school and see why Aviation Consumer Magazine named it the top online ground school on the market. The first thing you'll notice is that we never teach to the test. We teach real-world skills that are going to keep you and your loved ones safe when you fly. Now, it's because of this real-world teaching, you'll pass your knowledge test and your check ride with flying colors. With one membership, you get access to all our courses, plus weekly webinars with myself and this outstanding MzeroA.com team. It's really like an interactive TV show broadcast from our studio, where you get to interact with a team of CFIs. We also offer live support and email support to make sure you succeed. Now, one thing you'll notice is that MzeroA is like nothing else on the market. It is truly a flight training community geared towards making you a safer, smarter pilot, because a good pilot is always learning. It's much more than a slogan for us. It is truly a mission. So click below and take a 2-week, no strings attached trial of our top-rated private, instrument, commercial, and FOI courses. Once you join our flight training community, I promise you will never want to leave.